So this video is going to be a little bit different from the usual in that we're going to take an extensive look here at the F1 ability of Temulch. But before we discuss any sort of tech or strategy or combo optimization, I did want to probably mention that I've been around Naraka for about a year and a half now, which isn't a super long time in the grand scheme of things. And I certainly have room to improve as a player still. I should probably also note though that I've spent close to 100% of my playtime on Temulch specifically, whether that be through zero banning or conducting tests, theory crafting if you will, or playing solos within the NA region. So my goal here is that regardless of your personal experience or your accolades as a player, that hopefully you can kind of come away with a little bit of new information or potentially have a shift in mindset in terms of how you either play the character or approach him as an opponent. To quickly review what the F1 ability does for Temulch, upon pressing that F, Temulch will receive a combo breaking ability in which he leaps into the air. By activating this ability, he will immediately enter a golden focus state, and just a few frames into that animation, he will receive a short duration of invincibility frames, making him impervious to all incoming damage and stun. At the top of this leap, at the apex of that jump, Temulch will also receive 3 different wisps that encircle his body. These wisps will give both offensive and defensive utility, meaning defensively they will block up to 1 incoming projectile each, and on offense you have the ability to combine the wisps that are encircling your body into 1 singular projectile. That projectile can be thrown at an enemy for both a combination of damage and a 1.5 second stun duration. I wanted to take a quick look here at how the wisp itself functions, particularly when making contact with an opposing character. For me, having this knowledge not only increases your consistency, but also having this knowledge can grant access to different tech with Temulch. So the wisp itself is based around what I like to see as a 3-tick system. This means that when the animation is active, there are 3 distinct intervals in which the wisp itself is inflicting damage and stun on the opposition. And we can put this on the back burner for now, but this is good information to keep in mind, especially for the combo sections that are soon to follow. So now that we know how the wisp itself functions, we can take a quick look at the 4 different ways in which it provides offensive utility. So the first of these is pretty intuitive in that if a player is looking to kite away, they can be hit with the wisp and entrapped. Additionally, you can use the wisp to chip away at their remaining HP. We see a similar situation here, except in this case I'm actually using the iframes of the ability. This puts me in a position where I can land a critical stun and finish off the enemy. Pretty straightforward concept here. If you throw the wisp and they get caught in it, you can initiate your combo. Another way you can initiate your combo is by tech chasing with the wisp. This isn't particularly easy though, as you'll have to have a pretty strong read on your opponent's course of action. You'll also have to involve proper timing and spacing to catch them during that wake up phase. If you're anything like me, you're probably going to be wondering at some point what the most optimal combos are once the opponent has been caught in that wisp. There might be some external factors to consider, such as relative spacing. Have they been fully caught or half caught? How deep into the animation is it? Do you have a ranged weapon on hand? There's a bunch of these different things. I have tested for most of those, and I will put up a screenshot here, but for this video we're just going to be looking at the unique cases, and that's where the weapon moveset and Wisp itself are sort of working together, and that produces the highest possible damage for you. And for these, we'll want to think back to that 3-tick system that the Wisp operates under. And it's not super easily detectable, but it is worth noting that the timing for the longsword focus release is a bit different from that of the hang and katana. Releasing it too early will just push the opponent out of the Wisp entirely. Doing so too late will not allow for that 3rd tick to re-stagger the opponent. So here we can take a look at the 3rd way to use your Wisp offensively, being a combo extender. This would be in the situation where the opponent has already been caught and you're looking to extract the most damage. Lastly, we'll just look at a couple examples of how you can initiate with the Wisp catch and transition straight into that V3 ultimate. You might have noticed I was actually not aiming for the head in that situation, and that's simply because a headshot stagger with a bow can actually be counterproductive and prematurely release them from the Wisp. Whether you're going for an actual heal or not, it can be useful to just hang out by that Wisp. This is because there's a pretty large hitbox on it, much bigger than what's visually represented. That can sometimes catch people off guard. And And the fact that Temulch's F propels him directly into the air can sometimes be relatively game-changing. Other heroes don't have that same upward mobility, and with that, they might experience some LOS issues or general tracking inefficiency in these situations. And here's a look at a couple of examples where just timing that F will provide full invulnerability during those brief moments of incoming damage or stun from the enemy. And here we can review a couple higher level strategies that are just good to be familiar with. Once you're up in the air after hitting that F, you'll have to weigh your options, which depend on the situation, and your immediate course of action there can sometimes dictate the entire outcome of the fight. Looking to clank with the opposition can be a very useful tool, but this should just be used in situations where you're looking to reset to neutral. This is especially helpful if you've seen their ability to quickly and consistently punish you via the sliding uppercut. Due to the differences in length of animation from weapon to weapon, you might have to play with your camera or the timing a little bit. And here we can see some more evidence that always throwing your F as soon as you can isn't always the best option. And lastly, we can take a look here at a couple advanced combo options you'll have, but you will have to be comfortable in linking together those prior concepts that we covered. In discovering these combos, I did quite a bit of testing in terms of the required wisp placement, where I found verticality to be very important in those situations. And also I strived to involve that third tick of the wisp just to allow for maximum height and damage in these sequences. So by covering these topics, it's probably not super hard to detect my position on that F1 ability for Temulch, being that it is highly dynamic, it is difficult to master, and it involves a lot of skill expression. I also do think that extracting the most out of that ability is what can drive efficacy at those higher levels as well. So while I don't think he's necessarily an S tier character, he definitely remains very good, and with total optimization, he's certainly viable to pick at just about any level. For the purposes of brevity, I have left out pretty much all discussion about his ultimate, mainly because I don't think there's as much to explore there once you know the basic functionality and a couple tricks for it. But if there are viewers that would like to see more on that, or perhaps some time dedicated to previous sections that we just explored a little bit today, do feel free to let me know.